What's the best New Year's resolution? 4K. Hi there, this is Matt Sierra and this is Get Skills, the show where we're gonna talk about your skills, your abilities, your capabilities, and the things that you need in order to be successful in your life, which is not as simple, which means that we have to take care of it pretty much. So today we're gonna talk about New Year's resolutions, because everyone has this, or almost everyone who is not deep into depression has some ideas for the new year, has some goals to achieve, but unfortunately we don't achieve most of those goals. And today we're gonna solve this problem. We're gonna think about it and what to do with it, how to plan in the way which will be efficient, which will give you the goals, which will give you the success. So remember that all the list that I will share with you in today's episode, you can download below this video. So you're gonna have the link to PDF and you can download it right now. And the other thing that you can download right now is the free additional episode with Elon Musk's success strategies. 60 minutes episode, absolutely free for you. So you can also find the link below. Okay, let's go. We've got a new year. It's a little bit harder to be optimistic after last 2 years of pandemics, of politicians implementing their sick rules on us and so on. So life got harder. That's why it's even more important to take care about your goals, about your life, because we've got a lot of proofs that it's not gonna take care of itself. Yeah, so you have to take care of yourself, of your goals, of your dreams, find them if you've lost them. So it's a very important thing. That's why today we're gonna think about how we can plan our success. I've got the list of my goals every single year. And what can be strange for you is that my efficiency is only 50%. So right now you can tell, okay, Matt, so you're gonna teach me how to create my goals, and you only fulfill every one of two of your dreams. And yeah, but I think that this is a very high number, a very good number. Why? Because psychologists made the investigations, they made the research, and they found out that we repeat at least 90% of our resolutions every single year for at least 10 years. So I think that if I fulfilled 50% of my last year resolutions, then I'm pretty efficient. And my goal is not to have to reach 100% because we're human beings, so we're not perfect. Life changes, yeah, like I didn't fulfill some of my resolutions because life changed, because everything changed, my goals changed also. Yeah, like observing the life, the world. Like I had some ideas 2 years ago, I had some ideas related to traveling. And soon, after a couple of months, it turned out that it was pretty impossible because pandemic started. So it was impossible to travel, or it would be at least not as fun, like having the tests all the time and so on. So I just changed my goals, and that's why I fulfill only 50%. And I'm gonna tell you how to do it. What's important is that the list of your goals has to be on paper, so it can't be in your mind. It's not like I'm gonna stop smoking, quit smoking, I'm gonna lose 10 pounds and so on. No, we need to have it on paper, because if you have it on paper, it's like a plan. Like every single company, big company, creates its business plan. But it's never a business plan in the mind of the CEO. Yeah, I've got the plan in my mind, so I'm gonna tell you if you ask me. No, it's always on paper because it's important. Everyone has to see it frequently in order to grasp it, to get it. That's why it's so important for you to have the list, the written list. That's why we're gonna do it together, and you've gotta, or it's a good idea to invest a lot of time in it. That's why today's episode is a bit longer, and also it's a good idea to invest more time doing it. So you shouldn't create your list of goals for the whole year in 10 minutes, because you've got to think it through, analyze it, think how it corresponds to your other dreams or goals, if they don't exclude each other, and so on. So it's not as simple. That's why it's worth investing a lot of time in it. Maybe not a lot, but a couple of hours, because it's gonna be the most important thing for you during this year. And why it's worth doing it right now, exactly today, right after viewing this video? Well, because every time when something begins, it's the perfect moment to plan something new. So when a new week comes, when a new month comes, when a new quarter comes, and especially when a new year comes, then there is something in the air. Like there's this energy that people are getting more optimistic. Well, partially because of alcohol drank during the New Year's parties. But not only that, but because also they've got more time to think, to relax, because they don't work so much, and so on. So it's the perfect moment to align your life to new reality. So in order for you to have a great life instead of mediocre one. Yeah, so that's what we want to do. That's why we should do it and invest a couple of hours in it, remembering that those goals are not the final goals. They are only some indicators, some ways, some directions for the upcoming months. But it's not like this that I've got fear of putting it on paper, because then in the end of the year I'm gonna see that I didn't fulfill 50 or 70% of those things, which will mean that I'm a loser. No, you will not fulfill all of those things, because they are not the most important things. They are only the directions which can be changed in the process, because one day you will make the decision that something is not more as important for you. Yeah, like for example, once many years ago, I've decided to buy a Ferrari, which was impossible at the time. So it was on my goal list for a couple of years. But with years passing by, I've made the decision that, well, finally, at last, it's not as interesting to me anymore. Yeah, like I could, I didn't have money to buy a Ferrari, but I had money to rent a Ferrari, but I didn't do it. And then after a couple of years of having this goal on my list, I thought, why I never rented it for one day? Which meant that it was a goal like having a Ferrari will mean that I am successful. But in practical life, everyday life, I didn't even have the will to rent a Ferrari and to drive it one day. So how could I call it a dream if I had the opportunity and possibility to drive it, but I didn't even think about it? Then I erased it from my list, and that was it. I never had it again. So we change, we grow, we're getting wiser, some of us at least. So we change, and that's why we're never gonna fulfill 100% of our dreams, because it's not gonna be worth it. We will just eliminate some of our dreams, we will change some of them, align them to our life, and so on. So those are only indicators. That's why you shouldn't have any fear of writing it down and using your pen and doing it right after this episode. And I'd like to give you another piece of advice here, that science tells us that if you plan your life or have your diary, I don't know, if you write your important things about your life, your thoughts, if you make your decisions using a foreign language, then they are more logical, they are just wiser. Why? Well, probably because we're still not sure, but probably it's related to the fact that when speaking or thinking a foreign language, we have to turn off the emotions because they are not the most important thing right now, and we have to increment the quality of our thoughts in order to prepare, to find the right words, to find the right grammar structures, and so on. Probably that's the solution. Probably that's the explication. That's it. Yeah. So that's why if you know any foreign language, it's always worth it to plan your upcoming month or year using this language. I've almost always done it. When I got to know it, that it's worth it. So first I've planned my life in English, then, which is not my native language, then in Spanish, then right now in Portuguese. Probably next year I'm gonna do it in Italian. So I'm practicing those languages all the time, and I really see the difference. I mean, not only it helps me in practicing languages, yeah, because it's another free exercise, but also it helps me think more logically, detach myself from emotions and create the list of goals which are really important to me and achievable, which is also an important part, as we're gonna get back to it later. So if you know some foreign language, then it would be a good idea to use it. If you don't know it, it's not a problem, because still there are a lot of people who plan their lives and they are doing their business plans in their own native languages, and what? Nothing, and they still fulfill them. But if you don't know any foreign language, then remember that I've created the Institute of Linguistics when we teach languages. So you can check it below this video, because we're gonna help you. Ha, what a publicity. Perfect. And perfect ad between the lines, no? Okay, so that was a piece of advice for the beginning. Now I'm gonna give you the 6 categories of our goals, because it's very important to understand how it functions, how it works, yeah? Because we use the word goals. Yeah, we've got goals. But in reality, goals are 6 different things. And I'm gonna show you those 6 things, because it's very important to understand the difference, because with every single of those things, you've got to do something else in order to achieve them. So first on the list are tasks. Like last year, I had a toothache, and it was a pretty problematic thing, and one particular tooth needed to be extracted, to be eliminated, terminated. So I put it on my list because it was a simple task. So the goal was a task, yeah, like call the doctor. Just call the doctor, make an appointment, visit him, and cry for 2 weeks after. That was it. So that was a simple task. That's the best, because when we've got simple tasks, then it's very easy to fulfill them. But it's not always as easy, yeah? So then we've got habits. A habit is, for example, I visit a gym 3 times a week. That's a habit. That's not a task to be fulfilled once and the case is closed. This is something which is always gonna be open, yeah, every single week till the very end of your life. So that's it. That's a habit. And a very important thing about habits is that it has to be measurable. Like I visit a gym 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it's easy to measure. Yeah, I can create a Google document or Apple Note and put it there. Like, yeah, one training, second training, third one, and etc. Yeah, so it's easy. But from time to time, we tend to create habits which are pointless. Like, I'm gonna eat more veggies. What does it mean? For a person who never ate any veggies, one single, the only and unique cucumber this year is gonna be fulfilling her dreams. But it's not gonna change life. Yeah, so it's not measurable. Like, I'm gonna practice Korean language more. What is more? Or less? I'm gonna smoke less. What is less? Well, less could be if someone smokes 20 cigarettes per day, crazy. But less could mean that he's gonna smoke 5 cigarettes per day. If someone drinks 2 beers per day, well, it could change into 2 beers per week. But those are specific things, measurable. So the best things about your habits is to make them specific in order to measure them and to check them. The next group is something that I call complex habits, something like this, which means that it seems a simple habit, but it's not one. It's much more complicated than we can think before. So, for example, one of my goals is always to sleep 8 hours per day, or rather per night. So it's specific, yeah, 8 hours. I can measure it. I can put in some document every night, like a cross every time when I sleep 8 hours. But in reality, in my case, it's 7 hours and 30 minutes. But let's make it simpler to 8 hours. So it's specific, it's measurable, so it seems so nice and so easy. So then, why doesn't it work? Well, probably it doesn't work because it's connected with other habits. For example, I've got kids. And in order to sleep 8 hours, I have to be in bed at 10 p.m. Why? Because first, I'm not gonna sleep right away, yeah? Like, I'm in bed at 10 and 1 past 10, I'm sleeping. It doesn't work this way. Second one is that I'm a husband and I've got some things to do being a husband. Some of them are related to bed. So if I'm in bed and my wife is in bed, then from time to time we've got something to do. So it also takes time. Well, in my case, it's only 3 minutes, but still it's something, yeah? Okay, so that's it. But I will also have kids. So in order to be in bed at 10, I've got to force my kids to go to bed at 9, because otherwise it's not gonna work. So think about it. In order to sleep 8 hours, I've got to be in bed at 10. This is my second habit related to the first one. And then I've got to implement the third one, which is gonna be forcing my kids to go to bed at 9. 3 habits, only to implement one. That's the solution why you don't sleep 8 hours. Yeah, because if we're gonna focus only on sleeping 8 hours, not seeing that it's complicated and it's connected with other habits, then it's not gonna work. That's it. So if you wanna avoid fast food restaurants, fast food shits, then maybe it's gonna be possible to commute using different way, which is not full of McDonald's and Subways. Yeah, it's not always possible, but for some people it's possible. There are 2 ways to reach their workplace, and one is the main road full of fast food shits, and the second one doesn't have anything. It takes 5 times longer, but if you listen to some audiobooks or to such a genius program like this, then it's worth it. And yeah, so it's complicated habit. Yeah, so one habit, one goal is to stop eating shit, but the second one is to change the way which you use to get to your workplace. Yeah, so complicated habits. The next one is the goal itself. So the goal, like, I'm gonna lose 10 pounds. Yeah, so this is not a habit. Like, I'm gonna lose 10 pounds 3 times a week. No, this is not either the task. Yeah, lose 10 pounds. No, tomorrow at 9 a.m. I'm gonna lose 10 pounds. At 9:30 I'm gonna be ready. No, it's not gonna work this way. So it's not a task. So it's a goal. Goal itself. What do we do with goals? What do we do with goals? With goals, you've got to do a single thing. Change them into habits and tasks. Because if you're not gonna do it, then you're not gonna fulfill those goals. Okay? So if your goal is to lose some pounds, couple of pounds, is gonna be specific. So if your goal is to lose 10 pounds, then you have to think of the tasks or habits that you have to have in order to fulfill the goal, in order for the goal to be fulfilled by itself. Because if you implement the habits, like you visit the gym 3 times a week, you limit your food somehow, yeah, like you eat 5 times per day, but pretty small portions, and so on, then your goal is gonna fulfill by itself. You're gonna lose those pounds. So you can't focus on the goal all the time. You've got to focus on the goal only in order to change it into habits. And then you're gonna have to think about habits all day long. Okay? So that's it. The 5th type is limit. Limits are the things that are limiting us, but in order to help us having a great life. For example, some people can have a limit of having 1 coffee per day, because some are having 6 coffees per day, and then at the end of the day they are almost dead. So some people need to limit their consume of alcohol, some others of drugs. Well, but it's not always, it's not only about things that are obviously dangerous, because every one of us knows that we have to limit the number of cigarettes if you smoke, which is strange, but of alcohol, of drugs, and so on. It's obvious. But also there are some limits that are not as obvious, yeah, like probably some type of food. Okay, so limit of pizza. For some people, limiting pizza is the best thing to do right now. Yeah, that's the most important thing in their lives. So some people are having pizza once a month, so it's not a problem, yeah, I guess. But some are pizza addicted. That's a very dangerous thing, because no one will notice it. If you're drunk, then everyone will see it. If you smoke, well, everyone will see it. If you're abusing drugs, well, it's gonna be obvious for the society. But if you're a secret pizza man, that's dangerous. That's why that's gonna be the limit category. And the last one are rules. In my case, one of my rules, for example, is I do not invest in small real estate. I mean, like 10 square meters, yeah, for one person. I don't buy them because I had bought a couple of them in the past, and it was like a lazy investment. Yeah, like I had to prepare those flats. I have to find the right person to live there, and it was hard to find the right people, and so on. The return on investment wasn't good enough, so I've changed it in something that was much more interesting to me, in larger real estate, not much larger, but some more luxurious flats, and also in Bitcoin and so on. I've got also the rule that I don't invest in cars, because there are so many possibilities to buy a used car in one country, bring it to here to Europe and fix it, and then sell it with a lot of income. It's possible, and I like cars, so it would be a bit interesting to me. But I decided that I've got a lot of different things to do. Like, I'm a language maniac. I've got my Institute of Linguistics where we teach languages. So that's much more important and interesting to me. And also, it gives me much better return on investment. So why should I do the investments, make investments in cars? Only because they are nice? Well, no. It's not. Well, I don't have time to do it all. Yeah, so that's why we should have our rules. Rules and limits are somehow connected. One would argue that they are the same, but in different words, and probably he could be right. But anyway, I divide it in two categories because then it's easier to grasp it. Yeah, like limits are how many something I have for per week, and rules are what I always do or what I never do. So that works this way, and using those 6 categories, you're always gonna search for tasks and habits, simple habits, because all other categories are gonna be too blurred, too complicated, too obliterated, yeah, to grasp it, yeah. So if your goals have to be fulfilled, if you want them to be fulfilled, then you should always change your goals, your complicated habits, your limits and your rules into simple tasks and simple habits. Then, and only then, they are gonna be achievable. Okay, so now you know the most important categories of your goals, and you get the point that you need to have as many simple tasks and simple habits as possible in order to reach your goals. So now I'm gonna give you the examples of my goals in order to convince you not to do only one list of goals, which is a pretty common thing to do. I've got 10 lists. They are not a huge list, but I divide it into various categories because for almost everyone, it's absolutely obvious that they should plan their business life, like how much money they're gonna earn, what type of car they're gonna buy. If someone does his lists, then probably he's mainly doing the list of financial goals. But maybe you've got kids, maybe you've got a wife or a husband or a girlfriend. Do you plan this relation, or you think that it's gonna be always great by itself? Well, I know the answer, and my answer was the same for most of my life. But finally, I found out that it's also as important to plan other areas of my life. Not only finances, not only money, yeah? So I'm gonna give you my 10 categories, and it doesn't mean that you've got to have the same categories, because, for example, one of my main lists are languages, because I'm language maniac. I want to learn as many languages as possible. And for some of you, it's boring, yeah? Because you didn't buy a language course in our Institute of Linguistics. Then you would know that languages could be fun. Link below. Okay, let's back to the point. So everyone has different hobbies, does different things in his free time. So of course your categories would be different, but I'm gonna give you mine in order with the example of a habit or a goal in each one of them, in order to explain it to you in the best way. So let's do it, and remember that you've got all those lists in a PDF file below this video, so you can download it and have it always near you. Okay, so my first category, as I mentioned before, are languages. And the example of my goal is to speak 10 languages, which is not specific. That's why my goal is speak 10 languages so well that I could record an whole hour episode speaking only this language. So I'm doing it right now, yeah, like speaking not my native language, and I'm recording without pauses and so on. So it works this way. That's why it's as important. That's why it's measurable, yeah, because I can check it. I can check if I speak this particular language so well that I can record a video. If it's not gonna be possible, it's gonna be too hard, I'm not gonna have words and grammar structures, then it means that the goal is not fulfilled. Right now, it's fulfilled with 6 languages, and I've got a couple of months, the whole year, in order to perfect those 4 which are lacking. That's my goal. Maybe it's crazy, but I assume that being a crazy person is important nowadays in order to be a happy person. So you're also crazy because you've got some goals which are not common, which are strange to other people, which are impossible to comprehend by other people, but they are yours, and that's why you should follow them. If it's not something like kill all the people in the world, but if it's a good goal, not dangerous for the society, and it's only a crazy thing, like my 10 languages, then you should go for it, definitely. Then, and probably only then, you're gonna be a happy person, following your crazy dreams. You're not gonna have to fulfill them in order to be happy, because following them is gonna make you happy right away, today. Because doing those things, like me speaking right now English, right after recording a Spanish episode, it's making me happy. It's hard from time to time, but it's making me happy. I'm not gonna have to wait for the very moment I speak 10 languages and record 10 videos, because right now it makes me happy. That's why we should follow our crazy dreams. The second list is related to my wife, because I know that happy relationships, good relationships are not gonna make themselves. Like they are not gonna just happen, yeah? Like we've got to work hard in order to make them good, to make them happy. That's why every single year I've got a couple of goals related to my marriage in order for it to last and to live a happy family life, which is a very important thing to me. So now, an example of my goal is related to this list, is to have a free weekend with my wife, only with my wife, which means without my kids, which is not as easy because there are not many people willing to take my kids for a weekend, but I guess it's achievable. So that's my goal. It's also measurable because 1 free weekend every 2 months means 6 weekends in a year. So I can count it. It's easy to check if it's done or not. And it's easy to accelerate if it's not gonna work. Like it's gonna be June and I'm gonna have only 1 weekend made or passed with my wife. Then I'm gonna see that I have to organize it better. So that's one of my goals. It's very important, I guess, for marriage to spend time together without other people and kids, which are there almost all the time. So yeah, that's one of my goals. My third category are kids. So for my kids, the example of my goal is to give them financial classes. Because right now, probably in every single place of the world, there are not many financial classes during the school time, you know, like primary school, secondary school. They are not teaching a lot about, or nothing, about money, how to handle money, how to earn more money, how to get rich. They not teach it. So we need help. I know that my kids will not be taught by society, especially that in many places in the world, it gets too socialist. Like people are fighting against capitalism, which made them free and happy, but they don't see it anymore. They don't see that every single time when there is socialism, there is also war, poverty, and unhappiness. They don't see it. They only see the disadvantages of capitalism, which are of course obvious, but I guess the corporationism is a system that is much worse than capitalism, because corporationism means that in practice you couldn't create another Google or Facebook because regulations will destroy you, because those corporations have their friends in politics and so on. So that's much worse than capitalism itself, which doesn't exist anymore in its pure form. But it's still not the perfect model, but it was the best one that we've invented. And socialism, which is getting very popular again, will make us unhappy slaves. And I want my kids knew it. So I explained it to them. I explained to them how to handle money. I explained to them why it's always better to be rich than to be poor. Because I don't want them to believe such shitty ideas or phrases like money will not buy you happiness. And well, it's obvious. Money doesn't make you happy, but it influences everything that makes you happy. Yeah, so because being seriously ill could make us unhappy, but with money we could decrease the possibility of this illness or decrease the effects of this illness, because with money we can hire the best doctors in the world, visit the best hospitals and so on. So we've got more possibilities. Without money we can only believe in our healthcare system, which in most lands or most places of the world are just a pure tragedy. Yeah, so that's it. That's why I want to give financial classes to my kids, so they know why we as a family always avoid any single type of debt, why daddy destroyed his credit cards a couple of years ago and did it with a lot of fun, and why we're just paying cash. They have to understand it, because it's not as common. Common sense is not common anymore. People think that using credit cards is an intelligent thing. Probably tomorrow they're gonna eat shit, because why not? Everyone do it. Flies are doing it, so we should also do it. Well, it's stupid. Maybe then we shouldn't do it, even if all of our friends are doing it. That's it. So I want my kids to know it, because they will not get to know it elsewhere. Yeah. So giving financial classes. It's also measurable, which means why one financial class every single week, 10 minutes. That's it. I can count it, I can check it, I can control myself, verify if I really do it or not. So that's it. The fourth list is related to helping others, which is called altruism. My list is called altruism. So I've got a couple of things there, but an example is to gather $250,000 to help a foundation which we help in Colombia. There's a great foundation called Regalando Sueños, Giving Dreams, which helps people from Venezuela who are the victims of socialism. Yeah, because Venezuela was a pretty nice capitalistic country, but then politicians decided to change it into a perfect utopian society where everyone lives a happy life, and it ended like always. Yeah, so poverty, anarchy, and so on. So they are leaving the country, they are fleeing to Colombia, for example, and then there are couple of foundations that help them, and I also want to help them. I'm not gonna solve the problems of Venezuela or any single other place of the world, but I can at least help some people. And using this $250,000 in Colombia, helping people from Venezuela, is much more efficient than helping people from my European country, because in Europe you can do a lot less things with the same amount of money, because everything is just much more expensive. So as a businessman, I always think about the effects, yeah, like how to invest less and get the best possible return on investment. The same applies to altruism, to helping other people. That's why I decided to help there. It's not my only project, but one on the main ones. And last year I've gathered 50,000 bucks, so it's something pretty nice. But I've decided to make it 5 times as big this particular year. So I've got a lot of clients, I have a lot of friends in my country, in a couple of other countries. So I hope it's gonna be possible, and I'm gonna just gather this money, send it to the foundation Regalando Sueños, and simply help. It's not gonna solve all the problems, but it's better to help than not to help. And it's also a bit egoistic because it also helps me. Because first of all, I'm practicing Spanish, talking all the time to those people related to this foundation. So, and I love languages. And also, there are scientific research that confirmed that we're getting happier by helping other people. So it's not like, yeah, I'm resigning from my money, from my life in order to help others because I'm so good. I'm so deeply perfect. Well, God, do you see it? I'm so good. That's me, Matt, remember the name. No, it also helps ourselves. If you don't believe me, check it out. Give someone 10 bucks. Only this. Or say something nice to other people. You're gonna see right away that you feel better. So it always works perfectly. So it's a pure win-win. That's altruism. Helping other people is also good for us, so it's good for everyone. That's why it's pretty important. My 5th category is foreign businesses. I guess that for most of you is not as important, but it's only the example. Yeah. So on my list of foreign businesses, my example of goal for this year is to have my Institute of Linguistics running in 10 countries. So we're halfway, I could say. So below this video, you can check it out and start learning languages with us. But I want to double it and to have it in 10 countries, which is gonna be possible because we've got great people in our team, almost 50 people internationally. We've got all the systems prepared, so we're probably gonna do it if something doesn't happen, like another pandemics, wars, whatever. But that's my plan. So yeah, abroad businesses. 6th list is related to productivity, because I'm also a productivity maniac. Soon I'm gonna have my book 38 Hours Day translated into English. So let's hope it's gonna be possible to buy it. But then there you will find more than 100 productivity techniques in order to earn thousands of hours, additional hours per year, which is possible using the right productivity methods. So I'm also a productivity maniac. That's why I've got the productivity list. And for example, last year on this list, I put creating the plans for every single quarter, every single month, and every single week. Because I've noticed that having the plans for the whole year is a good idea, but it's too long. Then it's normal daily life. So I've just batched them into 4 quarters. Then I took the first quarter of the year and divided it into 3 months. And then I divided the first month into 4 weeks. And then I had the list of things that I have to accomplish this particular week. So I don't have to focus on some month, 6 months from today, because I can focus on this particular week and just do my job. That's it. And that works much better. So that's an example of tasks or habits that I would definitely advise to everyone. My list number 7 is related to health and energy, because everyone wants to be healthy, but we also have to plan it. It's not going to happen by itself, especially if in the times of shitty food, of processed food, of the times of over-consuming sugar, underestimating physical activities, and so on. Yeah, so we have to plan it. So then I've got things related to sports like visiting and practicing yoga 2 times a week. Right after this recording, I'm gonna practice yoga today. So, or visiting the gym 3 times a week. But also I've got things related to energy level, because it's also very important. Yeah, because if I don't have a habit of sleeping 7.5 hours per night, then I'm not gonna be productive in my work, because I'm gonna lack energy. I'm gonna be nervous, anxious, and so on. So I'm not gonna be effective. I'm not gonna be effective creating the great relationship with my wife, because I'm gonna be nervous, yeah, sleeping only 5 hours. So it's very important to maintain high energy levels in order to be a happy person, an effective person. So that's also related to health and energy. That's why I put the additional word energy there, yeah, because it's not only health, it's also energy. Because eating one hamburger is not gonna make you unhealthy. Yeah, it's not gonna destroy all your life, or your organism will survive it. But even this one hamburger will destroy your energy for the rest of the day. Definitely, you can test it. If you do the thing that is as processed, then your organism will use a lot of energy to process it, to reprocess it into nature. So, and you will lose this energy, and you will not have it for other things. So that's why it's as important. But it's also a very important thing to put there things related to mental health. Remember that health doesn't only mean muscles and appropriate weight, but also mental health, especially nowadays. After 2 years of pandemics, lockdowns, stupid politics, and so on, we tend to be more depressed, we tend to be more anxious, and so on. Well, it's, in general terms, it's a problem of our societies, but it got worse recently, yeah? So that's why I think that you should put those goals to your list. For some of you, it could be the goal like start visiting some psychologist, some therapist in order to get help, because some of us need professional help. Some of us need real friends, because if your only friends are on Facebook, then you don't have any friends. So then you can sit down and cry, or plan having 2 new friends this year. You're gonna tell me, but Matt, you're talking like a robot. Yeah, how can I plan to get 2, especially 2 specific number, yeah, 2 more new friends this year? Yeah, but you have to do it this way, because if you're not gonna plan it, then it's gonna happen or it's not gonna happen. It's gonna be like random life. But if you plan it, then you know the second step is to plan where you can find them. Well, in order for the people to be your friends, they have to have the pretty similar values. So if you're kind of church person, then probably you should visit your church more frequently, maybe apply to some additional church groups in order to get to know more people related to your values. If you're a guitar maniac, you love playing the guitar, then maybe you should visit the places where a lot of similar maniacs are gathering, and then it's gonna be much easier to get new friends there. And for some people, a lack of friends is the main problem. Like, they wouldn't need a therapist if they had friends. So that's also an important thing to do. That's why mental health is something that we can't ignore, because it's a serious thing, yeah? So that's why, for example, on my list related to mental health, I've got things like banning particular web pages, especially news pages, because I don't really have to know about every single war started in the world. If it's not a war in my country, then, well, maybe it's gonna sound brutal, but I don't care. Well, I care that I miss Colombia. Yeah, I would like to say that I would like to have peace in the world, but that's all I can do with it. Yeah, if some idiots are creating wars, then I can't stop them, because what can I do? I'm just the guy. So should I really know about every shitty thing happening in every single country of the world? New war, how many people died out of pandemics today? Well, if I'm not one of them, and none of my friends are one of them, then what's the difference for you and for me if there are 100 or 1,000 victims? What's the difference? Well, for them and for their families, this is a difference. But there are so many tragedies in the world that you can only sit down and cry because there are so many bad things happening. Why then not focus on your life in order to avoid your bad things, or minimize the list of bad things happening in your life, and just take care of yourself, of your family, and of the institutions that you would like to help by your altruism acts. And that's it. That's it. And then you don't really need to know that 2 cops were killed by some robbers during the robbery. Yeah, without this knowledge, you're gonna still survive, and definitely you're gonna be happier. That's why I've got the list of sites, and I've used some additional blockades on my computer in order not to permit me to visit those web pages. Because when I visit them, in order to just check one single thing, then I'm gonna lose 30 minutes there, and probably I'm gonna also lose my good attitude, good mood. Yeah, that's it. So I rather prefer to avoid them in order not to read all those bad, evil, sad things, because it's not gonna help me. Okay, the category number 8 is called money and investments. It's the easiest one because probably it's the only one that you've already mentioned on your list if you had any lists in the past. So then you put what car you're gonna buy, what house you're gonna build or buy or rent, what investments you're gonna make, like, but it's also gonna have to be specific. Yeah, so I buy 7 ounces of gold every single quarter. It's easy, measurable. Yeah, like it's a thing to do. I spent $2,000 per month buying Bitcoin independently of its price, current price. Yeah, that's a goal which could be, it's a habit which could be measured. It's easy to know if you did it or not. So that's it, money and investments. The category number 9 is security, backing up. For example, if I create a video, a series of videos, then I have to back them up. Yeah, like something's gonna stop working. Yeah, my account would be deleted, or something I would lose the pass. Then I would have to have a backup, and so that's on my list also. But also security. Security means that I'm not using credits, any type, but also that I have always enough money in cash, because one day if they turn off the electricity, then you will only have the money that you have in your pocket, because all your debit cards, credit cards, whatever will not work. So what you're gonna do? For some of you, it's gonna mean that they will not even have their lunch tomorrow. So that's why, thinking about such the things, I'm thinking about preparing myself for various possibilities, for various problems. And financial problems are things that sooner or later happen to everyone, or financial challenges, let's call it this way. And then whether you're prepared or not, and then whether you're screwed or not. So what about your currency? If you're from the United States, then probably your USD will not fall down, because it will create the anarchy in the whole world. But if you're not from there, and you've got your local currency, then the question is, if you're prepared for the hyperinflation of this currency. It could happen in every single place of the world, really. So we've got inflation in all the places of the world right now, couple of percents, in Turkey even more. But what if one day you get up and you see that you've got the inflation of 1,000%? Your money on your account doesn't mean anything at all right now. The question is, did you have any US dollars? Did you have any euros? Did you have any pounds, English pounds, for example? If not, then you're screwed, because you only had your currency. Did you have any gold maybe, or Bitcoin, which you could always exchange into other currencies? That's why I don't believe my politicians, and you shouldn't either, no matter where you live, because they are always shitty. So that's, I think that there's always possibility to lose all my money in my local currency. It can happen every single day. That's why I care. That's why I'm preparing my goals, like buying as many pounds, as many dollars, as many gold ounces, and so on. That's it. Okay, and the last number is privacy, which is a very important thing, because well, some of you will say that they are not terrorists, so why should they take care of their privacy? Well, I'm neither a terrorist, but I think it is a very important thing, because in the world of huge corporations like Facebook, Google, Apple, they are gathering as much information about us. Then there's a danger that is not easy to grasp at the first sight, because people think that they will make their surveillance, will lose our privacy. But what's the problem? Yeah, for someone will tell me, I use my Face ID, so they've got my face, they've got my kids' photos. But what's the problem? I'm no one. Well, I'm also no one, but I guess the problem is somewhere else. If they know everything about us and about our kids, about our families, they will gather the power to manipulate us. Because how do you manipulate people? You've got to know their values, their convictions, their what's important to them, what would convince them to change their mind, and then you can manipulate them. Well, today, doing some crazy things seem crazy only if you can manipulate. For example, let's assume that let's today convince people from Switzerland that they have to kill all the people from Peru, because Peru is the evil nation. Stupid. Sounds stupid. Of course, it sounds stupid. But 2 years ago, COVID certificates also sounded stupid for every reasonable person. But right now, they came true. And you have to prove yourself. They say that it's related to health, but I'm not convinced. I'm convinced that soon we're gonna add a couple of other fields to the certificate in order to control yourself more and more. So we'll see. But I'm pretty pessimistic about this invention. So yeah. So how do you convince people to change their mind? Well, finding the right arguments. And if you've got all the data needed, you know everything about them, then if I were this Swiss guy, yeah, then they would show me the exact needed videos on YouTube, the exact needed post photos on Instagram, in order which would be effective in my particular case. So I would see some videos about some Peruvian guys which are aggressive towards Swiss guys. They would prepare those videos no matter what. So maybe it's absurd, yeah? Why should Swiss guys attack Peru guys? But well, do you remember that we had 2 world wars, which were also pointless, but still they happened. Why? Because someone could Someone knew how to manipulate people, and they had a lot less of tools. Right now, they've got all the data, so they could convince us. They will convince you using different arguments than they would use convincing me, because we're different people, but they know everything about us. That's why I use VPN, I use Signal instead of WhatsApp Messenger. I don't use any Facebook Messenger because they read everything, they check everything, so I want to put a little more entropy there, a little more chaos. So one day I'm logging in to my computer using my VPN, so I'm in Czech Republic, another day I'm in Peru, another day I'm in Switzerland. I use Google and Facebook, well, I don't use Facebook, so I use Google and TikTok, for example, only on one of my browsers when I don't use anything else, and I check all the other web pages using other browsers. I use anonymous search modes and so on. Why? Why? Because I don't want to be manipulated in the future, and I'm pretty convinced that they've already started doing it. I'm pretty convinced because remember the US elections when Donald Trump has won? Then it was obvious that Facebook used some methods to convince people not to do it, to vote otherwise. Well, maybe it wasn't as efficient this time, but they tried and they incremented their possibilities to win using this. And they will do it more and more. So maybe today you're thinking that privacy is not as important because you're no one, so CIA will not check you out. So what's the problem? Even if they check you out, and what's the problem if you see your naked wife photos? If you don't see the problem, then okay, that's your thing. But remember that in 10, 20, 30 years, big corporations will use this data to manipulate your kids. And one day, maybe your kids will be manipulated to kill those Peruvian guys. Possible. It happened in the history of humankind so many times that we shouldn't call it conspiracy theory, because it's just the common sense that it happens, and that big companies will overuse their power because they always abuse it. Someone has too much power, he abuses it. Nothing, it's not a discovery, yeah? So that's it. Okay, so those are my 10 lists. You can download them, having the link to the PDF below, and you can create your own lists, more or less lists, depends on your values, on the things important to you. I gave you my 10 lists, my examples of the habits and tasks and goals in order for you to get it fully, and I guess right now you get it fully. So now, the only thing to summarize it, to resume it, is gonna be the list of the rules that every and each of your goals have to fulfill in order to be a good goal. Maybe you already know this list because it's pretty popular, but I'm gonna do a quick resume so we could get it. Remember, of course, that you can download the list. So the first rule of a good goal, of a good habit, of a good task is that it has to be written down. And I would rather advise writing it down on a piece of paper than typing it on a computer, because I see that it's slightly different, that you're more engaged in it. So just try it. So it couldn't be the goal which is alive only in your mind. Okay, very important thing. So it has to be on paper. Only then it's gonna be important to your mind. Why? Probably it's related to our schools, where we had to write down every single thing which was important. So we thought that when something is important, it has to be written down, and if something is written down, then it is important. That's why you should write down your goals. The second thing is that it should be specific and measurable. Okay? So I'm not gonna eat more veggies. I've got to eat 100 grams of additional of veggies for every single meal. That's something specific and measurable. The third one, the goal should be positive. Positive means I'm not smoking. No, it doesn't mean that. It means I'm free from cigarettes. I'm free, because motivation to being free is much bigger and better than motivate yourself to don't smoke, to avoid smoking. Okay, so yeah, that's something. Then you focus on smoking and to not doing something, so limiting yourself. So even if you have this goal, like you wanna quit smoking, then you should focus on freedom. I'm free from smoking. I don't have this stinky mouth anymore. Yeah, so yeah, that would be negative. So the positive one would be, I've got the great mint odor from my mouth. Okay, so you get the point. Yeah, the positive goals are better than negative ones. The fourth rule is that the goal should be in present tense, because for our minds, future and pasts are the things that are intangible, like they are hard to grasp. Yeah, what is present, what is future? Our brain doesn't contain future tense or past tense. Yeah, so that's why we should create our list of goals using present tense, which means that I lose 10 pounds, not I'm gonna lose, not I will lose. I lose 10 pounds. I learn Portuguese 3 times a week, 10 minutes each time. Yeah, so that's it. So that's specific, measurable, positive, and present. What's more, the goal should be yours, which means that it should be written as the first person, which means that I lose 10 pounds. So it's not to lose 10 pounds, but I lose 10 pounds, because deeply in our hearts we're all egoists, and we could use it to help ourselves or to destroy other people. Which one do you choose? I hope the first one, which means that knowing that you should put your goals in the first person perspective. So I lose 10 pounds, I learn Portuguese, I do this, I do that, I buy this kind of car, and so on. Rule number 6 is that the goal has to be motivating. So it has to be big enough, because to lose 1 pound, does it really motivate you? I lose 1 pound. Well, wow, what a power! Let's go! I've got the power to lose 1 pound. Rather no, but lose 10 pounds or 20. That's something that, yeah, I'm gonna see the effects. I'm gonna have better sex life. I'm gonna see the better person in the mirror. So I'm gonna be healthier, significantly healthier. I'm gonna notice it. So that's something motivating. So it has to be big enough, but still it has to seem real. We never can't define what is real, what is not, because, well, something is real for one person and seems unreal for another one, but it has to seem real to you, because if your goal seems unreal, then you're gonna lose your motivation pretty quickly. Like, for example, I lose 100 pounds this year. And you repeat this goal every single year for the last 20 years, and you've already lost 1 pound the last 3 years. So maybe it gives you some motivation in the beginning of the year, but after 1 week, you're gonna lose it, because you're gonna see that, well, I almost lost nothing after 1 week, and I still have to lose 50 or 100 pounds. So it doesn't give me more motivation. Well, it works exactly the opposite way. So that's it. So a motivating goal means that it's big enough to put the fire in your heart, but not too big to seem unrealistic, which would destroy this fire. Okay, so that's it. The rule number 7 is that the goal has to be truly yours. So it's not like someone told you and you say, okay, everyone tells me that, so I should do it. Everyone tells me to drive a good car, and I never had any interest in good cars, but people tell me that my 30 years Opel Corsa or Vauxhall Corsa, depending on the country that you're in, is a shit. Well, I love this car, for example. A person says, I love this car, it's enough, it always brings me from place A to place B. But people tell me that how could I drive so shitty car? So I have to buy another car, maybe a Dodge Ram. So your goals should be your goals, which means congruent with your values, with your other goals. Yeah? Because if you put there a goal which is not truly yours, it's not gonna be motivating, you're not gonna fulfill it, or you're gonna fulfill it and you'll be unhappy. Because you're gonna drive some car that you don't like, for example, or live the life of other people's. You have to live your own life and fulfill your own dreams. That's the only way to be a happy person. Okay, what's more, the rule number 8, the goal should be dependent on you, on yourself. Okay, so that means that you can't set goals like, my father will quit smoking. Well, that's your father's thing. That's his business. Okay? Of course, you can talk to him, you can convince him, you can help him, you can pay the therapist for him. Of course, if he's willing to quit smoking, then yeah, go for it, but it couldn't be your goal. Your goal could be, I'm gonna talk to my father and offer him that I'm gonna pay him for the therapy. That's something that's dependent on you, because that's your decision, yeah, to visit your father and talk to him. Yeah, that's something that could be measured and fulfilled. Yeah, it's crossed out. Yeah, I talked to him. But making him quitting smoking is not your thing. It's out of your control. You can use whatever you want, but if he's gonna make the decision to continue smoking, he's gonna continue smoking. And ignoring this fact will make you frustrated, will destroy your family relations, and yeah, that would end in a pretty shitty way. So I would like to put a goal on my list like, the pandemics will end this year. Finally, after all, efficiently. Like, we're gonna have a 100% sure medicament or drug which will eliminate the illness. I would like it to be true, but I can't do it. So why should have I this kind of goal, which is out of my control, which will make you unhappy in a year? Resuming the year, then I think that, yeah, it was impossible, we didn't do it. So no, your goals should be something that you could achieve, that you could do. Leave other people alone. That's their life. You can try to convince them to some things. That's almost always nice, but not force them. And it's remembering that it's not even possible to force them. And the last one, the rule number 9, is that all of your goals should be put somewhere in your calendar, which means that they should have the date. Right now we're creating the list of goals for the upcoming year, so it's pretty easy, yeah? Like, those are the goals for upcoming year. So it's obvious. But you can have some goals that need more time, yeah? Like buying a Lamborghini. Then it's not as achievable in upcoming 12 months, for example. So they need to plan 5 years, for example, 7 years, okay? But it can't be the goal like, I buy a Lamborghini. It has to be a goal like, I buy a Lamborghini in 2029. Okay? Then it's gonna be more specific, because your mind will know the plan. Of course, it doesn't guarantee that you buy a Lambo in 2029, because it's, of course, much more complex, complicated, related to the skills that you achieve. That's why this program is called Get Skills, because we need to get skills in order to get money and success, not only financial success. So yeah, that's it. But still, the first step is to put the date near to your goal. So you're gonna know when you wanna achieve this, and then you can plan it step by step. That's it. You're gonna find a list of those rules in PDF below this video, so you can download it right now. And what can I tell you? I can tell you that I wish you the best year of your history, of your personal history, the great success, financial success, but also a lot of health, also mental health, a lot of happiness, a lot of friends, or maybe not a lot of friends, but a couple of friends, but are with a lot of good energy, flying to you from them and otherwise. So yeah, I wish you the great years, fulfilling some of your goals, the most important ones. 50% would be great. And thanks for watching. Remember about the list of the things that you can download below this video. Remember about an additional free episode, 60 minutes of Elon Musk's success strategies, which I've described to you one by one, explaining how to implement them in your life. So you're also gonna find the link below this video. Thanks for watching. Like it, subscribe it, find me out on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, and share this video with the people that are important to you and that probably are planning their nice year. Thanks for watching, and remember, every Thursday we see each other here. See you and have a good year. Ciao.